Salutations. Today's briefing, HMAS Australia, Deterrence in the Indo-Pacific. As part of the new Australian Federation's drive to provide for its own naval defence and to contribute to imperial naval defence, the government authorised the establishment of the Australian Fleet Unit, the centrepiece of which would be a new battlecruiser. Ordered in 1910, this battlecruiser was to be one of the new Indefatigable class, which was an evolution of the Invincible class, the first true battlecruisers which had the guns of a battleship and speed of a cruiser. Ships of the class were to be HMS Indefatigable, HMS New Zealand and HMAS Australia, with the New Zealand and Australia both significantly improved over the Indefatigable in terms of protection. On 4 October 1913, the battlecruiser HMAS Australia sailed into Sydney Harbour. When the British Empire declared war on Germany and Austria-Hungary on 5 August 1914, the Royal Australian Navy consisted of a battlecruiser, 2 new cruisers, 2 older cruisers, 3 destroyers and 2 submarines. HMS Australia was a world-class vessel. Commissioned in June 1913, it had a full load displacement of 22,500 tonnes, a length of 180 metres, beam of 24.4 metres and could do greater than 25 knots. Its main armament was 8 12-inch guns with a secondary armament of 16 4-inch guns. By the end of the war, it could also carry 2 aircraft. Its belt armour ranged from 4 to 6 inches and its deck armour 1.5 to 2.5 inches. It was the Australia's 8 12-inch guns that were of most significance and made her the most powerful warship in the Southern Hemisphere. At some stage during the briefing, please hit the like button. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and also hit the bell icon to be notified of future briefings. The algorithm might not automatically notify you. A key design change over the Invincibles was to allow the midship guns to fire broadsides on both sides of the ship by lengthening the ship in the midsection, a useful capability if operating alone. On the eve of the war, Australia and the Royal Australian Navy's main focus was the extensive German possessions in the Pacific. Protecting these possessions was the German East Asia Squadron, under the command Vice Admiral von Spee. The squadron consisted of 2 modern armoured cruisers, Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, armed with 8.3-inch guns, and 3 light cruisers, armed with 4.1-inch guns. The German war plan prior to 1913 was to wage a cruiser war against trade routes in the South China Sea, to the north of Australia and in the Indian Ocean. The arrival of HMS Australia changed that, with von Spee stating Australia's arrival made any pre-war plans in Berlin for the squadron operating as a commerce raiders on trade routes in the Southwest Pacific overly ambitious and positively dangerous. Von Spee went further in a letter to his wife. The Anglo-Australian squadron has as its flagship Australia. By itself is an adversary so much stronger than our squadron that one would be bound to avoid it. On the other hand, the position for HMAS Australia and the Australian Fleet Unit was simple. Situation: German East Asia Squadron based out of Qingdao in China, comprising the armoured cruisers Scharnhorst, Gneisenau, Emden, Leipzig and Nuremberg, under command Vice Admiral von Spee, represents a major threat to Allied transports and facilities in the Indo-Pacific. Mission: deter or defeat German East Asia Squadron attacks on transports and facilities. Execution: together with other Royal Australian Navy and Royal Navy vessels, seek out and engage East Asia Squadron, deny its ability to resupply by attacking German facilities, and protect Allied facilities. Logistics: utilise Allied resupply facilities and make use of prepositioned supply vessels. Command: HMS Australia under command of the Royal Navy, but with free rein in the Australia Station. Acknowledging that his pre-war mission was now almost suicidal due to the presence of HMS Australia, and that there were no safe bases in the Pacific for his ships, von Spee determined to reach the Atlantic to join the main German fleet. On the way, von Spee attacked the French colony of Papeete, conducted a successful engagement against the Royal Navy at Coronel off the coast of Chile, and finally suffered total defeat at the Battle of the Falklands in December. Von Spee, a respected and highly capable leader, had done well to get his squadron as far as the Falklands. Note that at the Battle of the Falklands, it was the battle cruisers Invincible and Inflexible that sank von Spee's main ships, the Scharnhorst and Gneisenau. HMS Australia's actions during 1914 were a mixed bag. In August, it reconnoitred Rabaul, searching for the Scharnhorst and the Gneisenau. Later in August, it escorted the New Zealand occupation force to German Samoa. In September, it supported the Australian invasion of Rabaul. In October, patrolled Fiji, Samoa and New Caledonia to defend against possible East Asia Squadron actions. And in November and December, it searched the west coast of Central America for the East Asia Squadron. HMAS Australia was destined never to engage the East Asia Squadron due to its supporting Allied landings and Admiralty cautiousness over von Spey's possible actions. With the destruction of the East Asia Squadron at Falkland Islands, HMAS Australia joined British forces in the Atlantic for the remainder of the war. Australia was unfortunately absent from the major battle at Jutland, where Indefatigable was sunk, and New Zealand played a very active role. Even though HMAS Australia did not engage with the German East Asia Squadron, it nevertheless showed its deterrence value. Its mere presence prevented von Spey's squadron, Emden aside, from threatening Allied transports and major facilities in the Western Pacific and Indian Ocean. Due to its capabilities, the Australia also provided protection and confidence for operations to capture German positions in the Pacific. As an afterword, Australian naval deterrence between the world wars was a victim of international reduction treaties, which for the Royal Australian Navy meant the scuttling of HMAS Australia, and a global economic crisis, which saw the Royal Australian Navy reduced from a formidable fleet unit in 1919 to a limited trade protection force in 1939. That concludes today's briefing. Thank you for watching. Happy to take suggestions for future briefings from subscribers, so please subscribe, like and share. Until next time, Valete Cero.